Hey guys, hey everyone. So today I wanted to make a recording for the first time. So I'm actually using a laptop for the first time ever since I started. If you've seen any of my videos before, you know how in terms of user friendliness or presentation, absolutely the worst thing you probably have ever ran into. But yeah, I guess really I'm trying to slap everybody somehow because I think content should be, well, not the preference, presentation doesn't matter, of course, but of course it does, but I guess psychologically I think the trend should be more towards doing content versus presentation, something that actually in our world is like the other side around more. But yeah, getting to the subject. So today I want to talk about a few things that I actually had experience with people, like random experiences with people that I've had, and how, like, comparing them to myself, I see like how, um, like, they are rather so, I would say, um, I don't know, I don't know what word should I use. I guess maybe more pragmatic, rather ethically numb, morally indifferent maybe. And I don't want to go too deep into this. I know something, I want to be unfair. I am definitely a very sensitive person. So I don't want it to give it too much, trying to really incriminate people or anything. But I think some things, like, especially like, as a foreigner, I really want to say it, and part as somebody who, like, you are growing up, or you come to, basically what I'm saying is that we all are in a stage, sometimes in a stage in our life where we're, for the first time, we experience something. And even though you might be even born in America, for example, you know you might find your environment that you step into like totally brand new, and you're not sure how people will react to you. And oftentimes my experience when I came to America was like, really everybody was rather very harsh on me, very very judgmental. And I think part of it was because I had to immediately step into the work environment, and basically for the benefits of the job that they were offering me, they were very judgmental, very immediate to actually um, put me down, make me feel bad about myself for a slight of action. And there's a way too much talk about it. Like, for example, I never forget, like, I was working at a I work at, I don't want to name any specific place or anything. Basically, I was working at a store when for 5 years almost. Funny, right? And then there was this guy that I was working with. He was very judgmental. Actually, specifically, I have to say that towards me, because I think he really. It's funny, and I say that because I often feel like he's not giving that treatment at nothing even close to that to other people. And I was really like, why is that? Like, what is different that he senses about me that he treats me that way? Like, for example, to just open that, like, I used to read, sometimes when I had an opportunity, I was used to grab like a newspaper, and he was very incriminating, and jumping and telling me, hey, you're at job, why are you reading newspaper, or there's always something to do and stuff like that. And I remember there was this another guy who, funny is that he was my age, and there was a lot of us in that age group back then, like 17. And he was even an immigrant like myself, like from Pakistan originally, if you will. And but I think he, like, he was in US already for a few years, so maybe he was more like familiar how to respond maybe, or also politically more socially, if you will, at the sense of like how to interact with people, to not let them walk over him. Maybe I don't have those skills to begin with. I'm just not good at it. I'm a pussy, if you will, in a way. This should be all, you know, frank. Um, so I remember he was reading newspaper articles, and I don't remember in the slightest way. Matter of fact, the guy was he really rather very friendly towards him. I was like, wait a minute, he's just doing the same thing. So why is he actually rather so nice to him? And I don't see any expression of incrimination or him feeling like, hey, maybe I should tell him something. Yeah, a lot of times you want to say something to somebody, but for whatever reason, you're feeling a little bit tension or something. So, but he wasn't feeling that. There was no such a thing. That I didn't feel like, maybe he does want to tell him. It's just that he doesn't feel like comfortable for whatever reason. But no, there was such a thing at all to begin with. Anyways, back to what I was saying. So basically, so yeah, I remember like one time, you know, and I know I'm already 6 minutes through, and I'm not really talking about the experience yet, but I remember like one time it was like in the beginning, and like I really didn't know how to run a register. That's what I was being trained for. And somebody came in, and I didn't know how to open the register or anything like that back then. That was like my first or second day that I was just starting to think about it. I'm like totally fucking brand new to begin with in America. I just kind of come here for the first, well, sort of my first time. It wasn't my first time in America, but prior to that, I was like really, a kid. I wasn't like really experiencing anything as an adult. That's another story. But I somebody gave me like a $20 bill trying to pay for something, or I don't know what was the matter. But all I did is that because I didn't know what to do with it, and I didn't want to like fucking lay it around so it get lost. So I actually put it in my front, you know, uh, shirt pocket. I didn't stick it to my, not even that. And this son of a bitch is so fucking, stupid. He can't like even stop himself from being so satanically stupid. And he actually tells me, "Hey, why'd you put that money in the pocket?" Like, come on, man. Like, think about it. If like, why would you say that to somebody? If you really think by any means somebody is trying to be up to, they wouldn't put it in their front pocket so we'd actually see that and be like, "Hey," I would actually probably shove it somewhere that you wouldn't get to see it. Come on, think about it for a minute. What the fuck is that? Why would you be so stupid? You know, and if you want to really say something, why have to say it in such a nasty way? Maybe at least you can be nice about it and be like, "Hey, Arash, I was just wondering what's the story with that $20? Like, what happened?" Do you know what I'm saying? Like, anyways, that's another story. But this is a guy. Like, think about it. I'm 17. I came to, and because I didn't have a room as a teenager, if you will, to grow up in America and experience it. Like, as often other kids would do. Like I know a lot of kids do work in that age, as I'm saying, like same place. There were a lot of them, but at least they don't need to take it too serious because that's not really like a detrimental to their life. But I had to pay for all my expenses, and that was really one of the only channels that I actually got to interact with people, anyways. Um, so like chunk of my understanding of how people might be or the effect or impact of how the society is, that was through that jobs, which often, like I said, because of the specifics of profitable nature of those businesses or the attitude or because of, if you will, power struggle or, whatever that is, because the way they felt like that, I guess they were rather nasty and that took me really bad, I have to say. Anyways, back to what I was saying. So, like, for example, just talking about this recently, you know, there was this girl that I was staying at some Airbnb place, and they were like from France. And this girl, we started talking, and said to her, "Hey, punch in my number." And then she said, "Yeah, sure." So I gave her my number, and then Speaking of which, I'm gonna explain to you. So, and then how do you say that? Um, she asked me to say, "Hey, do you have WhatsApp?" I said, "Yes, I actually have that technology." And she started laughing. Matter of fact, and she said, "Yeah, I'm gonna text you. Yeah, so you'll get my number too." And I said, "Oh, okay, cool." And a day passed, and I was like, because she was originally she seemed very cool. She was very like seemed like very non-judgmental, or she was very passive, if you will. Um, cool, I guess. And then next day, ran saw her friend. I said, "Hey, what's going on? Is she okay?" She said, "Yeah, she's okay." I said, "Well, yeah. I mean, I was just wondering if she wants, she can come out and we can talk." And she went to her, and she came back and said, "No, she's resting, stuff like that." I said, "Oh, okay." And then next day I saw her. She wasn't like feeling anyways like nothing negative on her face or anything. So I was like, "What happened? You said you're gonna text me." She said, "Oh yeah, I got so busy and so forth." And oh, okay. I mean, this is not the first time I'm getting that kind of a vibe from a girl to begin with. And second, if you want to take it as in a way as a rejection, if you will, not that I'm getting rejected. Most guys, as much as we guys don't really want to feel each other and we're actually against each other, I think. But I think this is one department that they might empathize partially with me. But what I want to say is that yeah, so it wasn't like I wasn't, I was really hoping that she would, or I felt I took it really serious. It was just that I was thinking to myself, I said, if somebody asked me by any means, what is a guy or girl for number, and I tell them that, hey, I'm gonna text you, and next time I see them, and they be like, oh fuck, this guy, because I'm sure it might happen. I ran into somebody that maybe I might have told them that I'm going to text them or something. Would I really meant it, or I was just saying to try to get rid of him, cut the conversation maybe. But if I do run into that person again, I'd be like, I will feel very unease, and I would be like, like, oh fuck, this guy, shit, what I'm gonna tell him now, like he's gonna be like, what a jackass, you told me you're gonna message me, why didn't you message me? At least you could just send me a message saying, hey, I don't really like you, fuck. That's another story. I know oftentimes you know you really don't want to do it if that's your intention is not to begin with. You don't want to have that connection for any reason. But all I'm saying is that her reaction was very fast. She was very cool, like you know. And I was like, oh my god, how can she like be like that? And then but after that, I was like, okay, cool, whatever, And I didn't like really, pay attention. Like I said, if this would have happened maybe 5 years ago, I might have been a little bit um, agitated over it or aggravated. I don't know. I would just be like, fuck you, bitch. But like right now, as much as I'm getting older and actually I feel like I need to really have some relationship with, let's face it. I know maybe for guys there's no such thing as a prime time because really our what makes us prime to women apparently is our financial background. And I've seen that often actually. Oftentimes seen a lot of pretty women who are rather with some fat guy. I mean, they're not fat. It's just that they're not really, they're the equal like attractiveness anything near that woman. They're rather chubby or they got really um, bit of a belly, and you're like, oh yeah, great hair. Like this, obviously they're really different in age, like nice, at least like 12, 15 years. Like so what is it? The only thing I can think of is really, I don't think really this, if she were to fall in love with somebody's character, they're probably like much younger guys that you could probably fall into love with those people's character as well. And don't tell me as a woman in America, you don't get to run into a lot of men. This is not some Muslim country, somewhere isolated town where you're not allowed to talk to people, or you're not even allowed to go too far from your, just I don't think even some Muslim, even as we speak, there's even such a thing anywhere in the world anymore, even if it's a very strict society. But such thing, maybe there was such a thing like, I don't know, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, it's still around. But nowadays, actually, women are very, regardless, I think they're very outspoken and very um, outgoing, and they really think they should be wherever they want to be, and which I think is amazing. I think that's the way we should have gotten started, head start on a long time ago. But yeah, this is to give you one example, or often like actually I don't want to really get into deep into it, but like it was like another thing where like some people, like somebody, oftentimes I had this experience where people like clearly they make a mistake and they feel very at ease about it, whereas like if I were the same done the same thing, I would feel very strongly regretful, or I don't know, like I don't know if it's regretful or good for it. I would feel very uneasy about it, and I would be very um, feel bad, and I'd rather be anxious and apologetic, and I'd be like, oh my god, what can I do to fix the problem? I've obviously done this person a bit of a damage. You know how this, how can I make him feel better, or he or she feel better? And so yeah, I mean, there was some other things. I thought of writing these things down prior, but I thought somehow as I'm going through them, they will come to my mind. But it's not quite happening right now. But yeah, recently especially, I had a lot of experiences with different people that were really like wacky, and it really stood out because I was like, why? What makes you like act that way, and not feel at unease, or not feel like you have to try to be responsive about it, if nothing else. It's very sad, like especially from women's side, because I think that really society has allowed women, especially in America, like it's like really they can get away with anything, and it's okay because they're women. You know, it's like because they have an advantage somehow. I don't know, and it's like it's more like an acceptable norm rather. Anyways, I don't want to trash talk women. I mean, I actually admire women, the good woman, like as much as like, and then I don't have much good relationship with my parents, my mom, but when I was growing up, I would definitely admire my mom because she was so dedicated. She was so like after will for her kids, and I'm not trying to define woman as far as like, that's what the ideal woman is, who takes care of her children or pops out of babies. That's not what I'm going. I'm just saying, like, I'm really saying, in respect to the her people around her, socially, other people, like, very thoughtful of other people. My mom went through some phases. I think she really was like, at some point, she was like, fuck those people, like, why shouldn't she be devil when everybody else was devil towards her? Um, so to make it simple, yeah, or like some other examples where I literally had people like steal from me and they acted like so cool, and I'm like, oh my god, if I ever were to do anything close to that, how would I have even felt like that, you know? Or people who, oh yeah, one thing I really want to mention here, yeah, this is good, I remember this one piece, it was very interesting for me. That day I was passing by, I'm in Florida, like in Hollywood, just a few miles up from here. And then like I saw this girl who she wasn't really a girl. Like I don't even know if she was with somebody or not. That is, relationship. But all I know is that like I really wanted to. I said to hi to her. And I was hoping we would have a conversation with her, and she was very indifferent, and rather like she was trying to make me feel like she was actually started saying like, "Hey, like do you need some help or something?" And I was like, "No, I was just trying to talk to you, see stuff like that." But that's another story. I get it. Um, but what was really interesting for me is that she had these two little dogs, and all of a sudden, some guy who was driving a truck, like a pickup truck, he stopped and he started asking her about her dogs, like trying to open a conversation with her. And it's so stupid, right? This dog thing. Like, I hate how people are so fucking empty. Man, woman. I mean, like, honestly, like, I'll be real with you. Like, if I want to start a conversation with a girl, like, I feel rather I'm being fucking hypocritic if I start a conversation with talking about girl as much as about dog, as much as that might actually close the deal for me, or that would actually would do the trick or something. Like, it just logically doesn't make sense. If I want to talk about you, I would compliment you at least maybe, or I'd be like, hey, you have an amazing dress on, or like how the pattern of your clothes, or the like the style of it, or the theme of it, whatever stuff like that. But that's another story. So, anyways, all of a sudden when he started, she actually like she blossomed. Like she started talking to him. He's like, oh yeah, this is type of this dog, and yeah. And I was like, oh shit. Obviously, I just don't know humans, and I just will never understand them, and I will never be able to fucking communicate with them or anything like that. So that was just another interesting experience that I had. But yeah, and I'll be honest with you, following on what I said like initially about that guy who was at work when I was like, he was treating me way different than the other guy. I really feel like there's something about me that rather like giving like equally me, and if me and some other individual equally we have done something that you want to regard it as negative, whatever that is, being it a percent of a percent versus like 40% wrong or something, or as in terms of if you want to compare the fault or something, that is, I'm just saying generally speaking, I've noticed that people would definitely like they allow themselves to actually walk over me and try to incriminate me, whereas very likely they wouldn't do that to that person. um and that was something that really always captured me, and I was like, why is that? How could this be? Like, I just don't get it. How's this even possible? Why? Yes. Oh, yes, yes.